of Revenge by Francis Bacon. In which year was Bacon's essay of Revenge first published? 1625. What is revenge described as? Wild justice. What should the law do to revenge? Weed. What kind of tendency must be curbed through legal means? Revenge. What gives some pleasure, relief and satisfaction? Avenge. What is not permitted under the law? Retribution. Who cannot take the law into their own hands? Individuals. What should be wronged person seek for justice? Law. What quality helps a person emerge as the true victor? Forgiveness. What is not a sign of weakness or timidity? Pardoning. What is needed to ignore scars left by the wrongdoer? Magnanimity. What type of humans fail to rise to the occasion of forgiveness? Ordinary. Who is granted the authority to give royal pardons? Prince. Who proclaimed it is the glory of a man to pass by an offense? Solomon. What is past considered as irrevocable? What do wise men focus on? Present. What do people seek through wrongdoings? Profit. What is compared to a thorn or briar? Ill nature. What kind of revenge is tolerable? Irremediable. What should a man take heed of in revenge? Punishment. What do generous avengers want to the wrongdoer to feel? Repentance. What do wise men also focus on? Future. What is second reason for wrongdoing? Pleasure. What is a third reason for wrongdoing? Honor. What are cowardly angels compared to? Arrow. Who made a statement about not forgiving friends? Cosmos. What book mentioned forgiving enemies? Bible. What kind of revenges are mostly fortunate? Public. Who was avenged in a fortunate public revenge? Caesar. Who else was avenged in a public revenge? Pertinax. Which king of France was avenged? Henry III. What type of revenge is mostly unfortunate? Private. What is revenge based on according to the of revenge? Emotion. What must be avoided instead of burning in bitterness? Grumbling. What type of people focus on future tasks instead of the past? Conscientious. What kind of existence does a sadistic person have? Miserable. What should replace revenge according to Bacon? Forgiveness. Who cannot easily forgive according to Bacon? Humans. What must a person have to forgive others? Courage. What does revenge make a person equal to? Enemy. What does a person gain by pardoning others? Strength. What is revenge considered in society? Toxic. What kind of soul is needed to ignore humiliation? Sagacious. What is the only punishment for mischief makers? Existence. What should one focus on instead of the past? Future. What is the futile and unproductive according to Bacon? Winning. What must a person possess to accommodate others? Equanimity. Who ultimately suffers the most in a vengeful act? Avenger. What must guide human behavior in civilized society? Law. What is the best way to deal with the past injustices? Forget. What does Bacon provide for the revenge seeker? Concessions. What kind of acts may not have a legal remedy? Loathsome. What does the perpetrator escape without a legal remedy? Punishment. What must the avenger avoid to prevent being used? Legality. What does the avenger gain when the victim knows the source of trouble? Satisfaction. What emotion may the wrongdoer feel after revenge? Remorse. Who was the Duke of Florence mentioned by Bacon? Cosmus. What kind of friends did Cosmus have? Deceitful. What attitude did Cosmus strongly admonish? Supercilious. What was Cosmus unwilling to grant to offenders? Pardon. Who in the Bible gave advice on accepting both good and bad? Job. What should be accepted from friends along with goodness? Flaws. What quality prevents the scars of misdeeds from healing? Vindictiveness. What fades over time if not kept alive by revenge? Humiliation. Whose death was considered desirable despite being driven by revenge? Caesar. Name another historical figure whose death was driven by revenge. Pertinax. Which French king's death was also linked to revenge? Henry. What eventually consumes a person obsessed with revenge? Passion. How do revenge-driven individuals live? Miserable. What must a person avoid being consumed by? Revenge. What do revengeful people refuse to let fade? Memories. What kind of effect can public revenge sometimes create? Salutary. What does Bacon warn against keeping alive in one's mind? Urge. What slowly destroys a person holding on to vengeance? Hatred. Bacon is comparing revenge with weed. Which king ruled over at the time of Bacon? James I, Queen Elizabeth. We are commanded to forgive our enemies, but never to forgive our friends. The above lines is taken from Of Revenge. Of Adversity relates to Shakespeare's dash play, As You Like It. Why should I be angry with a man for loving himself better than me? Here I refers to Bacon. We are commanded to forgive our enemies but never to forgive our friends. This line from Revenge. Fortunate is the important part in dash revenge, public revenge. According to Bacon, confused thoughts and ideals are cleared by friend Percy Halley. Bacon was charged of corrupt practices by the House of Lords in 1621. The Essay of Revenge, published in 1625. Who describes Bacon essays as works of prose art? Salisbury. Francis Bacon charged his essay with the serious spirit and stately manners of Seneca. In Bacon's essay, Cosmus is Duke of Dash, Florence. In Off Studies, Dash is not the following of the three kinds of books to be literate, which is the connective phrase of Book of Job and of Revenge. Take good at God's hand. I love the man so well as I wish he may overlive me, whose words are above mentioned in Of Friendship. Plantianus. How many types of revenge expressed by Bacon? 2 types. Which of Bacon's essays contain full of advice? Of ambition. Noble and courageous man takes open revenge. Period of revival of learning is 14th century to 1550. Justin Pilate is the opening sentence of Half Truth. Justin Pilate is a work of Aldous Huxley. Dash was a major influence on the development of prose in many European countries. Latin. Prose works usually lacks the more formal structure of the verse found in traditional poetry. Dash is a composition in prose that has some of the qualities of a poem. Prose poem. Identify the types of prose fiction: short story, heroic prose, novella. Totally, how many types of prose are there in English literature? 4.